Welcome to The Power of Business and Style, and tonight is about the art of presentation. So here we go. I want to make sure that I don't miss anything tonight, so I'm going to look at my notes so that I don't forget anything, because tonight what we're doing is pulling everything together. So I always start with my why statement, which is to support people, oftentimes women, to know and trust their beauty and genius and their choices and expressions. So, here we go. You know, when we talk about the art of presentation and the art of your presentation, we're really talking about the things that, a couple of them that we've talked about before, which is soul vision and natural marketing style. And tonight we're going to talk about dress for your future. So, first, let's start with soul vision. So just think, if you've listened to the other video, then you know that what soul vision is the heart of your message and the heart of your business. And if you've listened to the part about natural marketing style, then you know that it's about how you run your business, how you communicate, design lines that are appropriate for you and for your website. Really important. So that's that part. And then the next part is dress for your future. So when we go back to some of the original things that I said a few weeks ago, one of the things that I mentioned was that 86% of all communication is visual. Just think about that. So when you're walking down the street, what people see in the first, and by the way, 10 seconds is how long it takes them to make a judgment about you. Which, you know, we can think that we don't like judgments, but when we walk down the street, we probably have some judgments too. The thing is that it gives us a limited amount of time to attract people, to deliver our message, and all the pieces that go with that in our brand and in our life. So 86% of all communication is visual, and it takes people 10 seconds to make some kind of judgment or choice about you. One of the things that I have said often is that clothes at their best reflect who you're becoming and the future you're creating. Think about that. You know, so often we got things when we were in high school, or we basically have been wearing our past. Now, that happens often because we're afraid to get rid of things. We say things like, I might wear this sometime, and our mother gave it to us. You can decide which one is yours. Or you were very popular in high school and everybody liked that sweater, which is always a good one, but not a useful one if you want to become the future that you are really creating. One of the things that I want you to know is that you're a living, breathing work of art. And when you're in business or simply walking around in your life, I want you to remember that part. You're a work of art. Living, breathing work of art. Just take that in. You know, there's so much culture these days about how you look and what your body's supposed to be about, but I'm telling you that when you dress in colors that reflect your essence, just think about this. Color reflecting your inner self. Color that is the reflection of who you are. That's amazing. And so when you wear colors that are harmonious to you, that make your face look alive, automatically you become a work of art. The next piece is that I want people to claim their own work of art for themselves. So often We know what our essence is. We know what we love. Every time I do color for somebody, it always amazes me that somebody who's felt really disconnected with themselves and doesn't trust themselves, about halfway into the session, they say things like this: I've always loved that color. It's, the color I'm giving them. And it's like they've always loved it. And yet, somebody, a magazine, a person they know, somebody in their family, maybe mom said, we don't wear that color in our family, or whatever. And they stopped trusting their intuition. They stopped trusting their knowing of who they are. And one of the reasons that I think Dress for Your Future is so powerful is it brings you home to, how do I want to say it? Well, one, to your essence, and in a way that you can then begin to reflect it on the outside, so people begin to get who you are. And one of the pieces that I think is so important is when we walk into a room, honestly, we don't want to say a word. There's so much work in networking and making sure people see you and all of that. My husband once said to me, he said, you don't have to really say anything. You just have to put your clothes on and walk into a room, because people will get who you are immediately. And I find that to be true. The other thing that I've also discovered, I was someone who originally was made a spring in season, spring, summer, autumn, winter, and the colors that go with that. I was made a spring. There were people who did not do my skin tone, and because I'm pixie and cute and all that, made me a spring. And I'm not. And what I noticed is that the minute I put on these colors, these deeper summer colors, immediately people started to change when I met them. People started to take me seriously. I had gravitas. And it wasn't because I had changed. It wasn't because I said something new and different. It was because how I presented myself was someone who had depth and purpose, and people got it. And that, to me, is what makes Dress for Your Future and the art of your presentation so important for people. One, because we are not our past. And two, because we want to consciously create our future. Consciously. So what we wear needs to be a conscious choice. One of the things that wearing your colors, dressing for your future, making sure you have your style facets right. It's one of the most important things that I do in a color session is style facets. Because, I have a lot of pixie and I have a lot of classic. And so I balance those two. And I remember years ago when I was shopping with somebody and she found a pair of shoes for me. They were gray and cute and textured, except for one thing. They had an upturned toe, and I kid you not. And she said, oh, you're going to love these. And I never, ever wore them. Why? Because I'm a mixture of gammon and classic. And classic is not going to let me wear turned up shoes. And so we have to know what our style facets are. What are if we're romantic or dramatic or classic or gammon or ingenue or ethereal or natural. And so I spend part of my time with people because it's not just color. It's also how you put your clothes together. And so when you have your color and your style facets, then you know that when you walk into a room, you can trust that you are presenting your essence and people will get it. You don't have to try to make them get it. Now I want to go to website for a second, because a lot of times, people think that Dress for Your Future and Natural Marketing Style and even Soul Vision are just about those particular things. they are also about your website. You know, my husband said something to me a long time ago, and it was, your website should be the best presentation of you on your very best day. I love that. And one of the things that I want for clients is I want their essence to shine through their website. You know, the one thing I can say about my website is that when you go there, the Power Business and Style, and then you can go to Beyond Business as usual from there and Dress for Your Future. But when you go there, the one thing that you get is the depth of who I am. Now there's also the beauty part, which is really important to me, that people feel the beauty. But the depth, the drawing in of people, realizing that I'm a deep person, is really what is the most important for me to get across. And of course, I really like those colors. And in the midst of this, I want to give a lot of acknowledgement to Shoy, Designed by Shoy, because she did those landing pages. And Meet Geraldine did the inside of the pages. And I really like to let people know that those two people are great to work with. So, back to websites. Websites are the reflection that people get when they go to visit you. And either your essence is coming through in word, in shape, in color, or it's not. And one of the things that I do when I'm coaching people is make sure that that whoever the designer is also CCing me, copying me when they're doing design. Because I want to make sure that the person being represented here is you, not your graphic designer or your web designer. And so it's really important. I just spent time with a client the last couple of weeks, and we were looking at her palette, and we were choosing the colors that felt most like her. And by the way, let me give you one little tip. You may already know this, but people forget it. Please make sure that the outfit you wear works with the colors that you choose for your website. Too many times I have had to help people have a new picture taken because they thought, oh, I had this picture taken a long time ago and it really works for me, except it had nothing to do with the color or feeling of the website they were now doing. And so those are some of the things that you want to take into consideration when you're thinking of the art of your presentation. You want to think about your message, and Soul Vision, part of that can be on your website, or even all of it. Natural marketing style, the way you move in the world should be represented in your website and in your clothing, the way you dress. And Dress for Your Future and your color and style need to also be represented. A really great example is I have a lot of people who have a lot of romantic in their style facets. And you know what? Their websites need to have a lushness and a depth that feels luscious and delicious in a different way than mine does. That's just about more depth and color and beauty and all that. And so we want to look at that in relation to all of you in the art of your presentation. So, one other thing I don't want to forget here. Two things. One is that when you dress for your future, in your colors, in your style facets, all the pieces that we're just putting together, you immediately are seen as more competent, and your artistry shows through, and people get that. Let's talk a little bit about dressing with intention, because when you're in business, or you're going on a date, or you're going out with your wife or husband, whoever, what intention do you have for the evening, for the day, for a meeting that you are going to go to? One of the things that I always say to my clients is I want you to be the one who sets the mood for the meeting. take a moment to consider that you can be the one who sets the mood for the meeting. And that means dressing who you are so that it reflects, and so that you feel completely comfortable and at ease and beautiful and in charge of yourself and competent, and you feel your artistry is being reflected, whatever that means to you. Next piece, and these are just fun things. The reason I think Dress for Your Future is also so important is because what my clients say is now when they go shopping, and everybody goes shopping and you will need to shop, that 80% of what they see is not their colors, and they can literally just walk past it. They know now that when they know their style facets, that if something is too heavy or too textured or too whatever, they're going to walk by it. And so what happens is they have this experience of trusting themselves and having a palette that supports them trusting themselves. So shopping becomes incredibly easy, and that makes me happy, because I don't want my clients always having to depend on me to go shopping with them. I want them to be powerful. I want them to be able to make a choice and know it's right. And they can always send me a picture just in case they're not trusting themselves completely. I think this is really the last piece. What I want you to imagine is looking in your closet and feeling absolute joy. Feeling like the clothes you have, the outfits that maybe I help you put together or you put together yourself, cover every event that you're going to do. And imagine going shopping and knowing exactly what's right for you. And imagine putting a website together and knowing and feeling inside, yes, this is right, no, this is not, and trusting yourself. That in itself is really what the art of presentation is about. It's about having all the tools together. Soul vision in the heart of your message. Natural marketing style, the way you market, obviously. We talked about that last time. And the ideas and connections, results, and perfecting that go with natural marketing style, whichever one is most important to you. Dress for your future, so that you remember that you're a living, breathing work of art, that people take you seriously, and that your essence is reflected to the outer world by what you wear. So amazing. You know, I think I'll do one last piece here now that I'm thinking about it. I always like to mention the sacred triangle. Your hair, your eyes, your skin. And I know that I talk about it in other videos, but just pulling it together with Dress for Your Future. Your hair color grounds your clothes if you need that. Notice tonight that this is kind of rose copper, but my hair color is a little bit reflected here, reflected in my belt, which you can't see, and reflected in my shoes. My eye color I wear when I'm going to a meeting where maybe I'm meeting somebody for the first time and I want them to trust me. And my skin tone I wear when I want people to feel intimate with me, or that I'm very accessible and approachable. And tonight I kind of have on a romantic color just for you. And it was easy to put on. It took me 2 minutes to get dressed. So I want you to be aware of the sacred triangle. And down the road, I'm going to be doing some live streams and some workshops to show you how to put your clothes together, how to use your colors to create a great capsule wardrobe, how to build on your neutrals. Because, you know, neutrals are the canvas that you build all of the rest of your outfits on. And what it does, which is exciting, is when you choose 1 or 2 neutrals to build on, then you're not just buying whatever shows up in front of you, because you have a plan. So that's one piece. The second is you also have dramatic colors and you have support colors, And we want to know how to use those, especially in business, but also just working in your life, so that you get the most out of them and they really work for you. So we're going to be doing some things like that. And I'd love to have you join us for that. But tonight, it's about the art of your presentation. And so I invite you, hope you got value from this. I invite you to visit me on Twitter, Ann Sagendorf. Let's see, Instagram is The Power of Business and Style. Pinterest is Ann Sagendorf. And of course, you can always go to the Facebook Power of Business and Style page. And of course, I'd love to hear from you. You can email me at Anne, A-N-N-E, at beyondbusinessasusual.com. And thank you so much for coming tonight. It was really a joy. I've loved this series. And we'll be doing some new series, maybe one thing in December and lots of things starting in January. So thank you so much for coming tonight. I had a great time, and I hope you did too. Bye-bye. Thank you.